into the late night here because there's productivity happening. There's some good flow going, and maybe I could attribute to I just did 20 I did like more than 20 miles on the stationary bike, which took about like an hour and 15 minutes. So that was exciting, but I feel like that's got my mind just really streamlining consciousness here. So I want to preface. I have these 5 secrets series that I'm going to do. One's going to be on the irrationality of women, but it's also going to have a bonus at the end that explains how women are even more rational than men in one critical area. And then I'm going to have 5 steps to get married. Simple steps to when you're prepared for marriage, when you're financially and emotionally prepared, at least as a man, then how to approach a woman. Or this is for hetero couples who are planning to procreate. Now there are obviously other relationships in LGBTQ which people can probably apply these similar concepts to them. If there's, say, a more masculine man and more feminine woman, feminine man in a gay relationship or a lesbian relationship, and there's more masculine woman, then they can apply. And I do think it makes sense for to have that dynamic. Or maybe not. Maybe as long as they have the same consistent values, then the relationship can flourish for their whole lives. But I'm going to do that. I'm going to talk about the irrationality of women, that women. Maybe I should say why younger women, because older women and I think older men as well are more rational, and obviously, and then but I think both younger men and women are rational. But there's 5 things that I think are under discussed in terms of what people need to know about how women think. And as long as you know that there's something you're doing wrong, then it can be corrected with processes and with collaboration with other people for their help in getting through something. So then I'm going to do a 5 secrets to light work meditation and 5 secrets to celebrating a woman's flower, the vagina. But what I wanted to say was, and then I'll explain all those, and I'm going to feature them all on as little TikTok series, short videos. And but before I explain those 4 videos to you now, I want to talk about a fundamental issue, which is the issue of intelligence. I do think I have intellectual ability that I have honed and refined, and you can easily visit into the past of my YouTube channel and see how I had flaws in my reasoning. I didn't have any goals. Like I wasn't really focused full-heartedly on the whole marriage thing. It was more of just like a world peace, kumbaya. I did like a Mayan calendar show, like follow the moon cycles, and which is all useful. And then the light work, that's useful. But now at this point, I'm really, I think, getting into some details and having fun with it. And so but here's the thing. I think I am intelligent, and I think I use my intelligence for good. And I think a lot of men use either their intelligence or strength for bad. And The reason they do that is because they're not in tune with themselves. They don't know who they are. They don't have a religion. They don't have values. And a lot of men do. I'm talking about men in this current day and age. There's kind of this unknown of what it means to be a masculine man and just be the man of a family, what that really requires, and what it requires to have principles that you guide yourself and your family by. And it requires, to be a masculine man, you have to have a feminine, you have to be supported by a feminine woman, let's say. You have to have that role as a counterpart, that she can help support you and be your cheerleader and be your secretary if needed, and just do things that, make it so you can feel like more of a man and she can feel like more of a woman, so to speak. And not to do things like some men are doing these days. What do they use their power for? Well, like the United States got strong, it built up a strong dollar, currency, and a lot of the men, some of the older men, will go to foreign countries to find desperate women who get into these very transactional, objectifying kinds of relationships, where the woman's half their age, and it's like, what's the guy doing? Then what's going to happen when he dies and she has another 40 plus years of her life? It's going to be harder for her to find true love again and rebuild, and it's going to be like she wasted half her life with someone who wasn't going to be there, and who she maybe wanted money from, so that's kind of the darker aspect of things. But yeah, so let's get into it. So 5 reasons why women are irrational. Okay, number 1 is the usage of number 1 is that women encourage each other to do things that are not good, such as promiscuity, lack of care for your health, like, oh, you're okay, it's okay if you're overweight, or you should have, it's okay if you're single mother, whatever, all that stuff. Right? This hive thinking it hurts women, and I think that's why in history they wanted women to be kind of ruled over by the men. And my hope is that women will realize that it's funner to be a feminine woman. For most people, it's funner. In hetero relationships, at least, it's funner. And because of that, women should use their freedom that they have now to choose to have a masculine husband, that she's happy to take his name, and not a hyphenated name with her father's name too. No, take his name, that type of thing. She wants to be his wife. She wants to be his feminine woman. Be conscious of that type of arrangement. And of course, if he gets injured and he can't work for a period of time, she should, in this day and age, I think, have some competence, because then that allows them to not depend on other people who may not share their values, or may be like, we don't want them to be reliant on the government, because then that gives the government power. Like, for example, if the government gets $1 billion in taxes, then it doesn't just directly go to things, it also pays for bigger government. It doesn't just go to, say, pay for $1 billion to help struggling families, or a broken highway infrastructure or something. So, okay, so that's that, and then that's kind of point one, and then point two for women's irrationality is they're using all these surgeries for their body and toxic makeup. Excuse me. You know, like uncomfortable shoes, that kind of thing. Stuff that it doesn't make any sense, and it's kind of trying to cater to figuring out how a way to attract men or what the trends are, but all of that's unhealthy. Obviously, the surgeries are unhealthy generally. The makeup is toxic, and the shoes they make a woman's back hurt when wearing taller shoes, and all that doing that stuff is actually not feminine. It's actually being more aggressive, and it's kind of a workplace uh, um, workplace uniform kind of thing. But the reality is, men should, in a perfect world, I think most women should be at home, and if they do work, they should make it a point not to use unhealthy methods to try to display themselves as being attractive or powerful to try to gain power in their whatever work they're doing. So that's that, and then even stuff like considering abortions, like like that's point number three. Like, you think about it, women having abortions, like, that's crazy. Like, imagine being a man and having to decide, like, okay, I can risk having premarital sex and with someone who I don't want to have a child with, and then have an abortion. Like, a man wouldn't do that. Like, a man would think that, oh my God, I don't want to kill this, risk an unnecessary innocent. Like, men don't really think about that. That's why men impregnate women, which is just a very biological, primitive action of not getting married and then having children out of wedlock, or potentially risking to just say, oh, we'll have an abortion. It's like craziness. And then point four is that the usage of birth control pills, they damage hormones. Like, guys wouldn't do that. They wouldn't use birth control to, like, they wouldn't use stuff because it hurts your hormones. It makes you think differently. There's research on this. You can always look into it online. And then point five is, women need to be a little irrational in order to tolerate and substantiate young crying babies, and imagine having to nurse with breast milk. Like, that's a whole, like, it's something that a man just wouldn't really feel good doing, and I think many women do feel good. So that's to think about. That's the first one. That's the first five reasons women are irrational. My five series, let's call it. Okay, the next one is 5 steps to getting married. Simply speaking, step one is the guy is prepared for marriage, and he's looking for a woman who also wants marriage. So, however, I mean, that's a whole nother Pandora's box, but let's just say that, okay, he's ready. Then what he does is the only thing, number one, that's not, number one is that he's ready, and that he's looking for a woman who's also ready. Number two is the only thing he should tell a lady, in the context of relationship conversations. Like, he might say other stuff like, how's work, how's life, if they're somehow friends. And you got to be careful also having friends with the opposite gender, because you might make people envious, or it might lead to, like, you shouldn't spend time alone with the opposite gender is what I'm saying. Just try to be wholesome and caring about people, and also use preventative measures to avoid premarital intimacy, which is unloving. But back to the point. So point one is got to be prepared. Point two is the only thing he should say in the context of relationship talk is are you looking for a husband? So it's a clear statement and it has implications. Now, if she says no, then he can say, consider it a compliment, best to you, or something like, okay, thank you for answering, I appreciate it. Yeah, something simple. But if she says yes, then it gets more complicated, because you have to say, well, I have interest in you, I'm interested, and then do you have interest? If you have interest in me, then you can take down my name, and then you can look me up online. People have an online presence and social presence, and so then you can say, if you like if you like that stuff, then if you like who I am, then follow up, message me, and that puts it in her, and that was all the points. That was like points 1, 2. That was like points 2, 3, 4, and 5, all there, right? So, and this is after having confirmatory nonverbal cues that she showed some interest, and maybe those little flirtatious glances, what have you. But I'm saying he shouldn't say, like, I like you, or do you want to go on a date? Because dating's for only married couples. He shouldn't be ambiguous. He shouldn't say, like, well, you seem interesting. He should say straight up, are you looking for a husband? And then like I said, so first of all is the preparation and knowing what you're looking for. Then the second one is, are you looking for a husband? Then the third one is, if she says no, then say best to you, or thanks for your answer. And if she says yes, then point 4 is, he can say, I'm interested, I'm interested in you, and do you have any interest in me? And then encourage her to look up the name, his name on online, and then message him. And then the last one, okay, is that what you want to do, guys, is you want to kind of make this as efficient as possible. So direct her, to look at, maybe you have an online, dating profile, quote unquote. Then tell her to look at that, whatever it is. And then if there's further interest, then then you should exchange some emails, and then they can, they will be more personally revealing in terms of stuff like finances, specific goals. Like, a lot of people you can be friends with, or even spiritual family, but for somebody who's going to be your spouse, you have to be very calculated. You have to ask about things like, if a child is developing and has developmental issues, will you abort the fetus? So questions like that, questions like, pets or no pets, that type of thing. Although you could easily have a list of things that also, yeah, you'll talk about personal things like sexual matters, sexual, like, preferences and stuff like that, like how frequently you want to have intimacy. These are all things that need to come up, and they can come up. You can even assess compatibility by talking, showing pictures of each other, talking candidly. Yeah. Okay, so that's 5 points there. That's 5 steps to get married. Now let's get into 5 uses of doing light work. Now with light work, you need to purchase a little crystal, or even just use a piece, a gravel stone, ideally like 1 inch by 1 inch, or something like that, so you can kind of rub it and imagine you're visualizing brilliant white light, and also when you're doing this, you're going to be spiraling. You're going to be standing up and kind of spiraling like this, and holding the stone, and then this is all step 1, right? So you get into a peaceful place, and you start focusing, start doing the movements, and then you can use maybe by a wand or stick, or I like to use my fingers because it kind of gives that focus, and so you start, and that's step 1. And then step 2 is you start it's funny, I'm hitting the TV behind me. You start beaming around you, your immediate proximity. And keep in mind, this is great to do for your bed, to give yourself some protective energy, for your electronics, for your stuff in your house, maybe your car, your own body, stuff that you're always dealing with. It helps to keep protective energy around that. And then even like beaming through the walls of your house or what have you. And of course you can use this wherever you go. You can discreetly, like sometimes I beam, like I have my hand like this, and I beam around like people. But that's getting into step 2. So step 2 is, okay, now that your house is taken care of, now let's talk about like your work. Let's say you have a problem at work. You have people who are upset at you or whatnot. Okay, these people, you want to imagine them smiling, and imagine. Hey Copen, I'm discussing my meditation visualization. I call it light work. So just try to go along with me, experiment. It's a way of, the power of the mind. It's a way of programming the mind with good positive thoughts, so that you can attract more of that into your life. So you want to go ahead and now we're talking about like problems at work, and so if you imagine like a coworker you're dealing with, if they're in trouble, or a supervisor. By the way, never refer to anyone as boss, because that's like authority. You never want to label people your father or authority or anything like that. You want to be your own final authority. So what you do is you imagine people smiling, like something that you're upset at work. Then you imagine like a brilliant light. Maybe you have a tool that's broken, or something that's not working. Maybe you're not feeling, you don't even know about that job. Then just beam everything. Beam the whole structure where you work at. Beam if you use your car to work. Beam. Just, and when I say beam, I'm talking about imagining bright white light surrounding it. You can imagine an orb of light around someone. You can imagine people reacting in astonishment, saying, "Wow, look at that bright light." It's just as important to imagine people smiling that you're upset at, because that programs your mind to be thinking. You're in control of your mind. You're thinking of happy thoughts, So that's point 2. That's like dealing with work situations. Now point 3 is point 1 was setting up to do the light work. Point 2 was doing your immediate proximity, like your house and your body. Part 3 is doing work issues. Now part 4, let's do like personal issues. Like let's say you're having problems with people in your life, whatever it is, just imagine them smiling, and this isn't about you and them, okay? It's not about your relationship with them. You might never see them again, whatever it is. Maybe you shouldn't see them again. Maybe you should exclude them from your life because they're trying to somehow take authority over you, or it doesn't feel like a fair or equal relationship. That often happens with people who are father and son, or mother and son, whatever. The reason it's an issue is because you can't, as an adult, you can't label people your authority. You need to be your own authority. It feels like you feel like an object if you're saying, "Oh, I'm his son, and I'm his son," or he's my father. Just experiment with not using those words. Use words like their first name, and tell them about this. Tell them your feelings. If they say, "No, I'm your father. You owe me. I raised you." Try to get them out of your life. You need to have healthy, egalitarian relationships. Now, that was a bit of an offshot. Maybe I should do 5 steps to healthier relationships. So that could be another part of the 5-part series. But finishing up with the light work, so that's point 4. Thank you, Copen. That's point 4. By the way, you're not going to hear this. This is like the first time you're hearing this because I invented this idea. So that's kind of exciting for you, maybe, definitely for me, to be sharing with people these new ideas, which I've worked hard to. I mean, if you look in my YouTube history, you'll see I just go over and over this stuff and just make video after video, and it just evolves, and it just kind of manifests as I keep pushing and I keep thinking about the words. I keep maybe even inventing words, which I've also done. So word to you, Copen. Thanks for being present here. So the fifth point is what was the fifth one? Oh yeah, dealing with world peace, using light work to promulgate a more synchronized world. See, what light work does is when you do it, like when I do it for my work situations, it makes the next day, the following day, go more smoothly. It makes things seem more harmonious and synchronized, and like perfect timing on things. Like for example, I do handyman work, so like when I'm about to make a lot of loud noise, maybe the customers will leave to lunch or something spontaneously, or like a meeting, so that's what I mean by synchronicity. But then we have the world. We've only been dealing with our own lives so far with these with this light work ideas, but now I'm talking about the world. Okay, so in the world, we have world leaders, which are probably Joey. Come on, I hear you pushing in the chat. Don't egress. Don't slow down. Just force yourself. Make yourself known. Make yourself known, Jojo. We have world leaders that are undoubtedly being targeted by nefarious forces, if you will. And then we have people who say, "Oh, the Illuminati run the world," or "Oh, greedy people run the world." No. Whoever, we all contribute to the world, not just politicians. We all, in our own ways. You guys have fun, friendly interactions. If you go to a Chinese restaurant and you offer them a tip, or you're at least a friendly patron, that's how the world works. That's on the ground diplomacy to create harmony where people can coexist and know that 95% of us are benevolent. We just need to work out our differences and learn to successfully manage the of people who are greedy or bad or involved in criminality. So that's the last part of the light work session, is the world leaders. So just the same, you imagine them smiling, you know. Just try to pick one in question. Like even Joe Biden, I think he's a troubled person. He's not mentally clear, but let's just imagine him in light right now. Imagine him smiling. Imagine a brilliant streak of light just shining down, brilliant, laser beam of white light. Strategic. Let me touch on that right after I've finished my light work explanation. And it's good to see you. Okay, so you just imagine Joe Biden just in light. You imagine like Secret Service reacting in astonishment, and then we can do this to people. We can do this to places. Let's say there's a place that gets hit by a natural disaster. Maybe it's not, maybe it's not even that any bad people did it, or maybe they're using HAARP, the atmospheric energy systems, to fucking blast laser beams onto Maui to, but make sure that Oprah paints her house blue so that the light refracted from the laser doesn't somehow interact with the blue light spectrum. Okay, you get what I'm saying? Uh, just blast brilliant white light on people. If you think there's people suffering in the world that you know about, and maybe you can't afford to donate to the Red Cross or what have you, do some intentional thinking, and do not abuse your power, because if you're watching this, then you have a degree of power. You have, the convenience and luxuries that afford you to just consider this philosophical discussion. And so use it. Use the resources I'm giving you. So, and then the last 5-step series is going to be about distractions from celebrating women. Okay, so let me sit myself back down for that. And prior to explaining celebrating women, what are we going to do? We're going to look into this idea of artificial intelligence. Now, strategic, what happened, say, circa 1900? We saw many machines taking over farming work, and there was a similar concern of what are the farmers going to do? And then we found different trades, and we started building more elaborate buildings, and commerce and capitalism revolved into what it is now. And then the question is, who is our artificial intelligence going to affect? Now, I'm not going to get too sci-fi here about will people use robots and program them possibly to destroy or become rulers of humanity. I mean, I don't think, and I mean, they may be able to program something to do that, to kill humans, but you can't program someone to develop like in the Matrix, develop a comprehensive plan to work together to somehow use humans to keep them alive. That's only what a conscious mind would do. So who will likely be jobless in 10 years? There's a video I recommend that talks about that. You can obviously just YouTube it, look it up. But what we're talking, truck drivers, we're talking factory workers, store workers, people who do fairly simple things of moving and sorting and moving goods around, more or less, I think will be the most affected people. And that's how a lot of people are occupied. Even driving is a major form of employment. even in Hawaii where I live, you have tourism where where there are drivers, and then there's like a tour guide, talking about, hey, welcome to Hawaii. Hey, look at where we are, and then talks about it. But yeah, so we'll thank you, strategic. Yeah, we'll move forward. We'll find more work, but I will have you know that I at least feel, and I mean, I enjoy my handyman work, but I'm also doing it because I'm pretty sure that there's a robot won't be able to perform the elaborate processes that I do. Now, there are certain houses that are being built now with robots and like pre-cast concrete and structures, but that's not everyone wants that, and a lot of the work that has to be done is now about maintenance of houses and just making them last. And that's what people don't realize is we are, whether you want to call it your forefathers or prior generations, whether you want to call it what are we calling it? Whether you want to call it, our prior reincarnations, we've built the infrastructures of a lot of the modern world, and we are now enjoying them. So maybe 50 years ago, we might have had to build a bridge, but now we can use that bridge, and now we can do other work, which is perhaps more enjoyable. But we should maintain these structures, obviously, but it's just not as much work as long as we maintain it properly. So, but men have to realize that it's fun as long as as long as you deal with the right kind of people, which is why I am interested in starting my own construction, handyman company. Uh, you want to have the right, positive, intelligent leaders who are not trying to abuse their underlings. So lastly, I want to talk about 5 distractions from celebrating women. 5, just let me write that down. From celebrating women, and I'm talking about celebrating women's bodies in a playful way. Okay, so but what are the ways that interfere with that? Well, let's see here. Let me get my document here. So, okay. Number one is to recognize that we created this. We, consciousness, created these human forms, and that we should prioritize humans over other animals. And so that means instead of pets and other kinds of hobbies and things, although every hobbies are fun, the emphasis should be placed, I believe, upon women and society and children, our own species. I think that one way of distracting from women is that there's these alternate to culture, we need to create an alternate to the cultural enthusiasm of this bigger is better mentality. The reason I think men think that they want larger PPS is kind of to dominate a woman during intercourse and to try to get attention from her. But the thing is that is a feminine thing to want that attention from women, and men have to be masculine if they want to find peace, I believe, and really feel like men. And so the way you do that is by directing the attention and compliments towards her body and her VVS, and subsequently finding peace in providing her with oral sex, and not trying to, because the whole dominating and trying to get an orgasm out of a woman, I don't see that as being that doesn't make, it's that's like a different energy. It's not really the energy of like a man truly. It's not the most important thing a man can do for a woman. uh, uh, and so that's like 4 points, and then the fifth point I'm gonna well that's like 3 points. The fourth point I'm gonna say is for men to stop being babyish and wanting larger TTS on a woman, or other comfort fat is what I call it, because that it's a physiological burden for women to have all that extra weight, and it's unhealthy. Because fat, it accumulates toxins and cancers, and it just interferes with life in general. So, lastly, the way we celebrate women is by men controlling themselves with self-intimacy. I recommend specifically the Doc Johnson main squeeze with use of coconut oil. And what you do is you control your desires, because with self-intimacy, or random women, or even your wife will use her body and emotions to try to quote unquote shit test you or control you. And and so you uh, this is the one thing that I think women are it's very useful that women do. It's very rational, because they shit test men, even if it's their husband. They kind of want to continuously make sure that he is strong, and the way they do that is by maybe doing weird emotional things, or trying to control him with sex, or because if he the problem with the control of sex is, if he isn't able to achieve orgasm on his own, and he wants a woman to do that so badly, then he's going to be submissive, and like basically only do things that she wants. But the problem with that is um, that women, don't always think rationally. They are influenced by their hormones and emotions, and so it's not, you know. So yeah, and this is the whole thing about why they think that women only like bad boys. That's not it. They just want women want a man who isn't like desperately needing them. And it's very simple. When you masturbate, you do not crave a woman like that. You can just be much more selective about, hey, I want a woman because, yeah, I'm attracted to her, but also because you 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 have the same values as her. So that's going to be the 5 series. This is like a exhaustive preview, but that way at least it's documented, and then I can move forward and do them individually. But yeah, thank you guys for listening fully. And now the only problem or cost to you, besides if you want to subscribe or say hi in a comment, the only cost to you is now you are burdened with information. And so what you do with that information but now you can't go back. You know what you know now. And so the question is, do you want to tell other people? Do you want this to be part of your culture, or at least, or do you want to just pick and choose what you like and work with it, and just question things in general? That's my skeptical outlook has brought me to all these, shall we say, exciting discoveries. So thank you guys, and be sure to check out my TikTok videos. They're a lot of fun. They're shorter, bite size. And let's see, how do TikTok? It's tiktok.com/@shieldheart.org. So feel free to check that out. And yeah, thanks you guys for the little discussion we've had today and preview of my 5-part mini series. And that's going to all be on TikTok if you want to see the final product. Skitsy, I'm about to conclude the stream, but in the event that if you have a point that you want to make, please express it promptly, and then we can potentially get into it if you want to talk about something, and then I'm gonna end the stream. So, are you saying hi? Are you just a friendly greeting? If that's all it is, then I'm gonna call it here. I'm giving you a couple last seconds to type in the event that you did want to bring something up. I don't know how long you've been listening, but there's been a lot that's been presented. Oh, nice. It's I do handyman work as well. What were you nailing? Were you how long were the nails, and was it attached to a compressor? Like, tell me more, please. Jake, what a pleasure. That's cool. I guess people are in the mood to talk this evening. Yeah, no doubt. But my question is, well, as Skitsy's generating his reply, I'd like to know, Jake, if you are saying anything either. Are you bringing up a topic of consideration for the conversation or the chat, or what's going on here? Because I was about to end it, but I do like to kind of have check-ins and see where people are too, because even though you guys might not be making YouTube videos and trying to share your philosophies that you like to write about and research, you can just tell me what you want to tell me. And it looks like maybe I have a lag or whatever it might be, but it looks like I'm not. It looks like you guys are kind of maybe ready to call it as well. Call it a day. I mean, it's 2:13 in the morning here in Honolulu, Hawaii. I don't know where you guys are, but I think maybe. Oh, here we go. Yeah. It made a pickaxe with. Oh, really? Interesting. It did some cutting with. Okay, cool. That sounds great. Sounds like you made a pickaxe handle. I'm not sure what was the wood. Was it? I'm guessing it was hickory, perhaps, or perhaps it was. I don't know how you actually made a pickaxe. Yeah, table saws are fun, obviously. You just gotta, if the wood is close, don't keep your don't get your hands too close to that saw. Use a secondary piece of wood as a push. You could probably look up more safety online specific to the task you're trying to accomplish. But I mean, I don't know. You were saying that you just learned to use a nail gun, so I'm presuming that you are maybe new to some areas of construction. So don't assume you know things. Don't assume people are working safely around you. Do your own independent research. I'm not sure what you're saying, Jake, but I will have you know, Jake, I want you to try to experiment with something. Have you ever considered? Oh, okay, right. So who do you live with, Jake? And I'm sorry that they passed. The compressor was really loud. Yeah, maybe it was yeah, they are loud. I like to wear. You know what I like to use for earplugs, Skitsy? I actually use toilet paper tissue. and I take part of it and squeeze it in because it allows for more breathability. There's a 3-foot handle straight piece. Okay, okay. Okay. I'm living with my small brother, and wow, Jake. Yeah, sounds like you're. Where do you live, Jake? Sounds like you're facing adversity, but that's what makes us strong, and that's what makes us stand above the crowd. What type of work do you like to do? So you basically, I'm guessing, Jake, it sounds like you're, how old are you? You're like 17, 18? Um, Now I have to work for food. Is there government help? Is that an option? Or what's kind of the, I'm curious. Two diagonal cuts at the end for the, yeah, right, for the, to set the pickaxe on. Well, that's interesting. Skitsy, I don't know what the budget is on the job that you're doing. Skitsy, hey, AK Akavar, you're asking where I am. I'm in Hawaii. Let's see. Uh, yeah, I'm in Honolulu. Uh, I'm not sure what that means by Chad Skitsy. Is that like a, is he like trolling, or is he? It sounds like he's speaking candidly, but who knows? It is the internet. Guys, I'm gonna call it, but thank you for the, just bearing with me. It's kind of not easy to hear things that you haven't heard before, or may disagree with or not know about. So just hearing out stuff is good. Uh, yeah, that's what I thought you meant, Skitsy. I'm glad that you're complimenting Mr. Jake here. He does seem to be taking on, a strong role. Uh, uh, I know about that too, Skitsy. I watch a lot of, I analyze a lot of YouTube red pill men's content, and let me touch on that. I don't know if you guys have seen any of that, but I want homework assignment. I want you guys to take a look at a channel that's called Fresh and Fit. They broadcast out of Miami, and they are trying to be like, you know, here's my analysis of them, and I'll end with this, and thank you for hearing me out. What they do is they say that the women in the West are promiscuous or immoral, and what I say is women need to be celebrated and protected, and women should use their freedom to seek out men like their fathers and brothers and other people they can trust to protect them, and who will, aka VR. Nice, aka. Women need to, and then they complain that that women are bad in the West, and so they're going to travel to find a quote unquote virgin wife. But the thing is they're not promoting the culture that promotes virginity. So, for example, these guys on Fresh and Fit, what they do is they will say they want like virgin, women from wholesome families, but they're not promoting that. Like, they act promiscuous themselves instead of trying to treat women with respect and protect them and celebrate them. So look into the fine lines, guys. Try to find answers and don't trust things. Like in the past, doctors and they didn't wash their hands. People died from that. They recommended cigarettes, and people went with it because we were an evolving species. But sometimes people abuse their power, and so we need to exercise healthy skepticism and realize that there's something called familiarity bias, where you prefer things that you're familiar with, even though other things might be better for you. Oh, okay. It was making the pickaxe for fun. Okay, I gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna about to say, Skitsy, like I do buy tools, and I only buy the ones that have the plastic handle, you know what I mean? Because I think that's more durable than wood, and it's less likely for the head to fall off. But even then, you might need to add a screw to it. You know, just knowing your tools, knowing that things can go wrong, and that's gonna lead to much safer outcomes. Okay, guys, thank you. Thanks, Skitsy, for talking, aka VR. It's been a pleasure, and Jake as well. You guys take care. Strategic and Joey, what a nice chat, and Copen if you're still around. But yeah, you guys take care, and remember, this video has been a preview to my 5-part series, which is going to be all released on TikTok. All right, Skitsy, enjoy your work that you do, and maybe I'll see you on a future broadcast. All right, man.